we should with each other. I said, video game lover. We should with each other.
You might be smooth on your feet, but you're not smooth with your words. Red heart on fire. Atsumu walked up the stairs. He didn't care to hear Sakusa's answer because he was so sure the answer would be no. He was 100% sure. Katashi is so blinded by how he can be like other people instead of how he is himself. That makes him act cocky and tough, and it truly makes him someone that other people don't want to be around. Atsumu walked down to the classroom where the cooking club was and leaned up against the wall. He waited for about another 5 minutes before the duo started walking down the hallway. As they got closer, Atsumu pushed himself off the wall. He walked towards Sakusa and smiled. You forgot this. Atsumu took the keys out of his pocket and put them into Sakusa's palms. Atsumu looked up and smirked at Sakusa. Never knew you were into those shows, Saku-kun. It's a great laugh. Sakusa put his keys into his bag before anyone else could see. Katashi glared at Atsumu and Atsumu returned it. Katashi rolled his eyes and walked into the club room. If you're laughing, that means others will too. Sorry, it was funny. Yeah, secret is safe with me. Better be. Sakusa glared at Atsumu. No one was supposed to see his keychain. Don't get mad at me, Saku-kun. I'm sorry. Sakusa laughed at Atsumu. He didn't want anyone finding his kid show, but Atsumu was his friend now and he felt that he could trust Atsumu. This is your first real smile. What do you mean? You're always smirking at me. So? Smirking counts as smiling. Not me. Smirking is a kind of smile. Atsumu rolled his eyes and smiled at Sakusa. His eyes told Sakusa that his smile was a real smile. As Atsumu was laughing at Sakusa's blank face, his phone started ringing. Knowing who it was, he waved bye to Sakusa and started to walk off. He answered the phone and put it up to his ear. Still with your Saku bear? Don't say shit like that, and yeah, just leaving. But you won't believe what happened. What happened? I'll tell you when I see ya. That's not fair. You made it sound juicy. So? You're so cruel. And so are you, X. Atsumu hung up the phone and smiled. He and Iko are such a dramatic duo. Atsumu started walking down the stairs to meet with his friends on the other side of the school. He kind of didn't want to walk that far, but it was free extra exercise. When he got to their meeting place, Ikoa jumped on him chanting words that didn't make sense. At least make whatever the hell you're saying make sense. I want you to tell me what happened. Fair, a chocolate bar. Ikoa gave an annoyed face as he turned to Akashi. Akashi sighed and took a chocolate bar out of his bag and threw it to Atsumu. Thank you, my good sir. Okay, now tell me. Atsumu sat down at the round table and opened his chocolate bar. He felt giddy for some type of reason. First off, why no Katashi, right? I mean, who doesn't? Guess yeah, right. Anyway, he asked out Saku-kun under the stairs. To some restaurant tonight. What was Sakusa's answer? I didn't listen. It's fair, sure no. How can you be so sure? No one would want to go out with Katashi, especially not with the phase he's going through now. He's worse than you. I get that, but I'm pretty sure he's still likable. Impossible. Yup, don't see that happening. Wait, what do you mean worse than me? Akashi laughed and waved his hand slightly, showing Atsumu he was joking, somewhat joking. HMPH. Atsumu took a bite out of his chocolate bar as he watched Akashi die from his laughter. Akashi wasn't the type to laugh like that, and Atsumu's pouting face made it only funnier. I'm not going to let you laugh at me. Atsumu put the rest of his chocolate bar in his mouth. He swung his bag over his shoulder and stood up from the table, stomping away angrily. He walked to his locker and took what he needed out and put the stuff he didn't back into his locker. He saw someone's shadow over him. He turned around to be greeted by him. Long time no see. You saw me yesterday. That's too long. If you say so, Mr. Giant. You're always so mean to me. It makes me sad. No, it doesn't. Yeah, just picking up an act. You got me there. I just came to ask you to consider joining that duo with me. Don't you see the routine? That should be enough. Fair, you'd see my answer is no. I'm just here to convince you, darling. Hoshi leaned down and kissed Atsumu's cheek. He placed his hand under Atsumu's chin, making Atsumu look at him. He smiled and brought himself closer to Atsumu so their noses were almost touching. I want you to want me. I want it so bad. What happened to Yuki? She dumped me. And why do you think she did? You mistreat people and I don't want to be one of those sorry little shits. Hoshi could get in relationships easily, but he didn't handle them well. He mistreated them, but a big dick can get a lot. Atsumu pulled Hoshi by his collar down to his height and looked him straight in the eyes. He was irritated by Hoshi. He was too much to handle. Listen, I'll think about the routine if you leave me the fuck alone. Fine. Atsumu pushed him off him and walked off to his class. The day barely even started and he's already irritated. Hoshi wasn't bad as a friend if he truly didn't want you, but Hoshi was attracted to Atsumu, which was a pain on Atsumu's side. The bell rang and Atsumu made it to his class. He sat down. Usually Sakusa was there before him. People started filling up the classroom, but Sakusa was yet to arrive along with their teacher, Mrs. Smith. 15 minutes passed since the bell rang and people started getting impatient. Guessing Mrs. Smith quit. Serves her right. She can't even teach right. You're always daydreaming about that short guy. You don't even pay attention when she teaches and you're so smart. Wait, wasn't his name was Care? Kiru jumped out of his seat and on Bakuto. He put his hand over Bakuto's mouth, stopping him from talking any further. Mostly everyone in the class started laughing. Bakuto and Kiru were known as the class clowns for the weird shit they do. Sakusa walked into the class silently, walked towards the desk and sat down beside Atsumu. Sakusa looked a bit down, so Atsumu didn't bother to say anything to him. Minutes after Sakusa walked in, some women in black walked into the classroom. The students quieted down and looked at her with curiosity. "Hello, I'm your new teacher since your old one couldn't hold her job. I found it funny how she lost it." She looked around the classroom. She looked at Sakusa, then to Atsumu. She walked forwards and slightly leaned over in front of him. "You're the kid that got her fired, am I right?" "Why yes ma'am." Atsumu looked at the woman. She was beautiful. She had flowy black hair along with a flowy black floral dress, and her peach lipstick just stood out so much. "You're a smart one. I already like this class." She turned to the blackboard and picked up a piece of chalk. She wrote her name on the board. The name that was on the blackboard was Mrs. Sakusa. The class was silent for a few seconds before people started freaking out. The only words that were audible in the fuss was, "Sakusa. There's a guy in here with that name. Hey Curly. Is that your mom, bro?" Sakusa sighed and put his head down. He didn't want this to happen at all. It was a nightmare already. "He's my son, but don't worry. He's not getting special treatment. Why don't you all tell me a bit about yourselves?" The time started going and Sakusa only got more uncomfortable. "Mrs. Sakusa went around the class asking everyone what their name was and what their hobbies were. She seemed way more preferable than their old teacher, and she was beautiful. "I see that's all of you. Since this is our first day together, we can have a class talk if you'd like. But don't think you're off the hook for next time." She smiled and every single student awed, girls and guys alike. Her students were already wrapped around her finger. The class cooled down a bit and it was almost time to go to the next class, so Mrs. Sakusa let everyone pack their things early. Sakusa was still looking so gloomy. Atsumu tapped his shoulder and smiled at him. "What's wrong, Saku-kun?" "Nothing, just a little tired." The bell rang and Sakusa picked up his stuff. He left the classroom without even looking back at Atsumu. He felt shitty for so many reasons. First being his mother asking to meet with him after his club because all of a sudden she was permanently becoming his homeroom teacher. Second was that he saw Atsumu and some buff guy in the hallway. What they were doing looked so heated and it made him feel weird. He felt bitter about it. Last thing was that his class was going to treat him differently because of his mother now being their teacher. He knows his mother is beautiful, but she's not beautiful on the inside. She made him work for his own money, made him do everything for himself, such as cooking. She lit his motorcycle on fire, which was a hand-me-down he got from his uncle. It explains all the things he does, his job, the cooking club in school and the motorcycle key on his keychain. His father didn't do anything. He just went with the flow and barely spoke to his own son. He did a quick stop at his locker, then to his next class. The day went by fast with Sakusa staying in his head most of the time. In 6th period it only got worse. Today was the day he had homeroom for last period. After the hell he went through, the bell finally rang. Atsumu tapped his shoulder. He looked over and saw Atsumu smiling at him, yet again. "Do you wanna hang out after our clubs? I have a good idea. I have plans." "Plans? Saku-kun. The only plans you have is housework, studying and that kid show. Today's different." "How so?" "I have a little date tonight." "Huh? With who?" "With Katashi." I didn't see the harm in it, so I agreed. "Never knew you like guys, Saku-kun." "Yeah, gay then?" "Yup." Sakusa picked up his bag and swung it over his shoulder. He walked out of the classroom feeling somewhat relieved that he said he had a date after seeing Atsumu with that meathead, but he wasn't satisfied. And for Atsumu he was shocked. He really didn't expect Sakusa to say yes. He felt so sure of it. He feels stupid for not listening and bragging to his friends that the answer would be no. He wants to cry his eyes out because of his stupidity. Atsumu didn't mean to blurt out about Sakusa being gay, but he couldn't help it. He felt like he already knew, but he said it anyway. The way he freaked out when Sakusa said he had a date was proof that Atsumu is already crazy for him. Atsumu packed his stuff quietly and was about to leave the classroom when Mrs. Sakusa stopped him. "What's wrong, darling? You look down." "My heart hurts a little." Before she could reply, he walked out the classroom. It might have just been him over-exaggerating, but in his mind and heart that's what he truly felt like. He could have never seen himself falling so hard so soon. His life really looks like the start of one of those cringy stories that Suna reads. He really wonders where he'll be in a couple months, but where this is going he's not liking it. He made a quick stop at his locker. He took out his bag with extra clothing and slammed the door closed. He walked to his club and opened the door. "Hey Tsumu. Hey sugar. Hey, can I talk with you for a sec?" Atsumu looked down to see red hair. He sighed. This is Hoshi's ex. He didn't have any problems with her, but he doesn't really know Yuki as a person. All he knows is that she's pretty and has a great eye for dance. She led him outside the clubroom to the hallway. As she stopped, she sighed. "Yeah, I'll get straight to the point. Hoshi wanted to get a tape of you guys fucking. He either wanted to show it off or sell it. I couldn't understand what he was saying. I didn't want to go all the way with him, so he dumped me. Then he started talking shit. Just wanted to let you know." "Seriously? That's what's happening? We're acting like we're in college. Damn. This high school is fucking nasty." "Yeah, it's disturbing. It's so hard being in the same club as him. It's annoying. When did you guys break up? Week ago. That's why you weren't here. And that's why he's been bothering me non-stop. Just curious. What are you going to do with him? Why don't we take revenge? She smiled and nodded. She loved the way Atsumu was thinking. They shook hands and made their way back into the club room. What were you guys doing? Looked a bit sus when you were leaving the room. We were just discussing something, Sugar. And don't call me sus. You're a sussy little boy. Bit shut up, Sugar. I was joking. Come here. Atsumu walked beside Sugar and looked down at the iPad. It had a plan of how the dance club wanted to perform at the talent show. What do you think? I like it, but add another person. So 4 people in the performance? I think it would be balanced nicely. Alright, I'll talk to the president about it, and if we can have a vote or competition for who performs. The fact you're more mature than Prees blows my mind. Teru's too much for me, and plus I prefer the second role. Sure, you just get more time to spend with your boyfriend. The word just reminded Atsumu how the whole date thing was happening. It made him a bit irritated, or more like, very irritated. You stopped what you were saying. Something wrong? No, just remembered fucking hate myself right now. Hope you don't hate yourself for long. Thanks for the encouraging word, Sugar. 4 months until the talent show. Get your ass ready. Atsumu rolled his eyes and walked away. Today the club was staying in the classroom that was given to them so they could plan the talent show. The next week is when they'll start practicing in the studio. The club didn't go so bad. After the talk with Sugar, Atsumu left not so long after that. It wasn't like they were doing anything of that much importance. He left the school and made his way home. He opened the door, hoping that he wouldn't see his father. He let out a breath of relief when he just saw Osamu and Suna sitting on the couch. He slid off his shoes and started to walk upstairs. No hello? Yeah, getting a little rude. Good afternoon, little brother. Atsumu smirked and continued up the stairs. He walked down the hall to his room and threw all his outside clothes off. He picked out some clean clothes, took his phone and speaker and made his way to the bathroom. He turned on the water. He connected his phone with his speaker and started looking through his playlists. He pressed on the playlist with his little hype love songs. He touched the water to see it was a good temperature. He stripped his clothing and got in the tub. I'm gonna grow gray hairs before graduation. He was chilling in the tub, listening to music and making bubbles. A song came on that he didn't like, so he reached for his phone and pressed the forward button. He laid back in the tub as the next song started playing. The song sounded familiar and he couldn't help humming to the beat. As the song kept playing, he soon realized where he heard it from. How could I forget my darling Catriona? He remembered from the night he was binging videos. He came across the Miss Universe pageant from 2018 and there was a live performance with some guy singing a song called Miss Independent, but all Atsumu cared about was his dearest darling. She got her own things. That's why I love her. Won't you come and spend a little time? Oh, the way we shine. Atsumu quickly stood up from the tub as he felt the water go cold. He unplugged the drain and put his towel around his waist. He picked up his stuff and went to his room. He changed into his miraculous ladybug pajamas and put on his laced socks. He opened the door to his room and flew down the flight of stairs. He walked into the living room to see that his brother and Suna were still there. He took a pillow from the other couch and placed it on Suna's lap. He laid down on the duo. Atsumu's head was on the pillow on Suna's lap. Osamu got to see Atsumu's favorite lace socks with his ass fitting comfortably between the gap of Osamu and Suna. You got comfortable real fast. I gotta tell you something. Okay, so. First we got a new teacher who is my friend's mom. Friend? Just say the damn name. Fuck off. His name is Sakusa. That hottie? Lucky you. Suna, you little shit. Suna stuck his tongue out at Osamu. The littlest thing he can put into his sentences really makes things more amusing. Anyway, long story short. I heard Katashi asking him out. I thought the answer would be no. But when I asked Saku-kun to hang out, he said he had a date. Kinda dumb on your part. I just didn't think it would ever happen. If you ever been around Katashi, you would know. He's a copycat. He has no damn reason to though. If you're saying that, then they most likely won't get together. No use crying over spilled milk now. Just ask him out at some event or something. Honestly, you're hotter than that redhead. Use it. The kid showjasoned it. Osamu took Atsumu's legs off him and got up from the couch. He walked into the kitchen all silent. Suna sighed and sat Atsumu up, getting up from the couch and following Osamu to the kitchen. They left me like nothing. As Atsumu was pouting on the couch, he heard Suna yell from the kitchen. I forgot to add, our high school is called Little Whore Academy. Atsumu spread his limbs over the whole couch and looked towards the TV. It looked like Osamu and Suna were just watching whatever was coming on the TV station. I live under the same roof as losers. And I have no one to compliment my socks. He rolled onto his stomach and started waving his legs all around. He just watched whatever came on the TV. Once his show was done, he realized how long his brother and Suna were gone for. He didn't even want to know what they were doing. He smelled food from the kitchen. He smelled so good, but then he heard singing. Please no. He got off the couch and walked to the kitchen slowly. He looked into the kitchen to see something horrifying. Go bitch bestie. Stupid hoes fucking with me cause they messy. The worst sight in the world. Suna's bitch talking session. Suna was chopping up carrots while Osamu was getting different spices from the other side of the kitchen. You're always singing that shit every time we're in here. Literally no one talks to ya. No hoes be messin' with ya. That's not the point. Shut up. I hate you. Hate you too, love. Love-hate couple. What a bunch of widders. Pass me the onions. Suna went to the fridge and took out a glass container with sliced onions in it. He gave it to Osamu with a somewhat mad face. Don't give me that face. He leaned back and grabbed Suna's chin, kissing him. Suna kissed back and wrapped his arms around Osamu. Right over my food too? Disgusting. Atsumu watched them make out for a few seconds with a face of disgust. The audacity they had to do that over the food he was going to eat. Not over my food. Atsumu made himself visible and he sat down at the table. I'm in horror. Yeah, annoying. Who said anyone was cooking fair? Yeah. Of course I was. You don't want me to starve, right? Atsumu, I know I was getting some. Aren't we just little high school students? We're 18 but. Suna walked to Atsumu and whispered in his ear. How else am I supposed to get his money? Yeah, a little snake. I'm joking. Suna smirked at Atsumu and walked back to Osamu. He slumped down on him and connected his arms on his chest. It's almost done, so you can wait in the living room. Atsumu looked at them then rolled his eyes. Osamu and Suna is such a good match, it annoying. He turned around and walked out the kitchen. He leaped onto the couch and spread all his limbs out. Lazy couch potato session starts now. Dash. Atsumu went to Sakusa's workplace in the early morning, wanting to talk to him despite being so upset about him going on a date with someone he wasn't so fazed by. Once he got there, he greeted the person by the front and walked to the front desk. Hot chocolate please. Sure. And by the way, Sakusa isn't here today. Kinda surprised when he called in sick. Sakusa is never off from work and he never gets sick. Being the clean freak he is, if anything Sakusa would get sick from overworking. Atsumu smiled at her and gave her the money. He took his drink and walked out the store. He made it to the school and went to his club. He didn't want to go to Sakusa's club even though he really wanted to see him. He went to the studio and opened the doors. No one was even there. He finally had the whole studio to himself. He put down his bag and took out his phone and speaker. He didn't need to change his school uniform. It was comfortable to move in. He connected his phone to the speaker but he didn't know what he should play. He just pressed a random playlist and started. He wanted to perfect the transition between his side flip then his back flip for the dance combo he was going for. When he does the side flip then the back flip, he only wants one of his feet to touch the ground. He would do the side flip then use his one leg to push himself into a back flip but he could never land it. He was in a gymnasts club from junior high to his first year of high school but he quit, claiming it was too much for him. He still does gymnasts just without other teammates nor a coach. He thought if he didn't use any mats it would make his body react to land on his feet instead of on his head, but he kept on slipping and the feeling of failure only got even more irritating. He kept on trying for a good 15 minutes before he stopped and got a water bottle from his bag. He had no clue how to fix his problem. Maybe I could try other stuff. He felt like doing that but the other part of him just wanted to do it right. He put his water bottle down and walked back to the middle of the room. As he was about to start practicing his combo again, someone walked into the studio. Atsumu looked over to see it was him. Again. It's great seeing you again. Yeah. What do you want? What do you mean? Club already started. You never come on time. Or even not at all. I just want to fix my bad habit. Atsumu rolled his eyes and walked back to his bag. Hoshi followed him and stood right behind him. What about the duo? I'm not doing it. So leave me alone. Hoshi grabbed Atsumu's shirt and turned him around. He looked upset, like no one had ever turned him down before. Do you know what you're turning down? I'm turning down looking like a fucking idiot. I told you how much I like you. I'll wait. Just let me take you on a date. No thanks. I already told you. I don't like you. Please. I said I'll wait. Why are you so desperate? There's so many people lined up for you. But I want you. How many times do I have to say no? Atsumu bent down and put his stuff into his bag. He stood up whilst swinging his bag over his shoulder. I don't fucking like you. I don't like you romantically or as a person anymore. You ruined my morning. Atsumu started walking out the studio. As he was about to open the door he looked back at Hoshi. He looked defeated. Atsumu wondered why the hell he would be so sad about it. I mean, having so many people that you can pick from means you have a choice. A choice to pick who you want. He was basically going to skip out on the club but it was better than being with Hoshi. He was so odd. He sighed. This school year is already shitty at some ends. Atsumu burned some time looking around the hallways and snacking on food he got at vending machines. Finally the bell rang and he made his way to his class. He saw Sakusa and smiled. He sat down and took out his books. Hey Saku-kun. How you doing? I'm doing good. How was your little date yesterday? He wasn't a fan of being up the topic but he really wanted to know how it went. It was okay. His family even owns the place. Do you like him? Yeah, I guess so. Atsumu's eyes widened and he leaned back a bit. He was shocked. In his mind the only question circling around it was, how can something like that happen so fast? He was unfair to him. Oh, if you meant romantically then no. In all honesty he reminded me of you. Really? Yup. It was more like a hangout than a date. You wouldn't want to date him? Atsumu, I just said, he's like a walking replica of you. He's like you in a different font. Why would I want him if you're right in front of me? Atsumu laughed and punched Sakusa's arm. He felt somewhat at ease when Sakusa was basically just saying he's the better one out of the two, at least in his eyes. Don't say that Saku-kun. Sakusa smiled back. There's a long road ahead of them. Hope they don't crash on the way to their destination. 4 months are starting now. First month. Everything was how it's been before. Katashi was trying even harder to get with Sakusa, but it just ended up turning Sakusa off even the idea of having a friendship with him. Atsumu was trying to fix his flip combinations but no luck, but it didn't bother him much because Sakusa was surprisingly encouraging. Mrs. Sakusa hasn't been getting much attention from her son. He ignores her all the time. If she asks him to solve a question, he'll write it on the whiteboard and walk back to his seat. Their relationship won't be getting any better, but ignoring his mother and making it a thought in his mind that she didn't exist. The routine with the two is always the same. Atsumu leaves the house before anyone wakes up. And unfortunately he and his father are cowards to solve the problem with each other. Second month. Almost the same as how it's always been. Katashi's more bothersome and Hoshi is more of a pain in the ass. Atsumu almost thinks they'll be a perfect match for each other. Katashi makes more of an effort to let Sakusa know he likes him and wants to be with him more. Katashi always comes to Sakusa with the excuse of the club up his sleeve. Hoshi just seems to bother Atsumu more and more. Him being as bulky as he is makes it a bit hard for Atsumu to get rid of him as he pleases. Atsumu made it a note to be with his friends when walking in the hallways, but he can't always be there when he's going to his club in the morning. Sugoro and Terashima spoke about how they wanted to have 2 girls and 2 guys for the talent show. They had a competition since so many members wanted to be a part of it. Boys, Atsumu, Konoha. Girls, Yuki, Kyoko. It was clear to everyone that those 4 would get picked. They are the most flexible in flips and confident in it, so they won't make a mistake. Sakusa and Atsumu are in the same place as before with their mother and father. Mommy and daddy issues. Third month. Things are being moved around. Katashi and Hoshi are being pushed away by Sakusa and Atsumu because they've been told to their face that they are fucking annoying. Their friendship seems like it's past that point without them officially doing it. They act kinda fruity for just being friends, and more. They started hanging out after their school clubs and it's the most fun Sakusa's ever had despite his home life. Atsumu started to finally nail his flip combo. Practicing would make the transition smoother to his liking. Atsumu and his father seemed to start talking to each other again, but they even spoke about what happened a couple months ago. It was awkward between the two but not as bad as before. Sakusa still hates his dear mother. She can't change anything about that. Fourth month. Katashi and Hoshi finally started to leave them alone. They saw Atsumu and Skorsa together almost all the time when they weren't busy with other stuff. Sakusa is still having that burning hatred under him for his mother, whilst Atsumu finally spoke to his dad and told him how he felt with his dad doing the same. Atsumu spoke about what he wanted to do and his father spoke about being scared for his and Osamu's future since his first dream failed so horribly. Everything between them is great now. His father bothered him about going to his talent show but no outsider was allowed. It was only during festivals. Atsumu made his move perfect and was excited about it. He invited Sakusa to the front row for his performance because he's been making a plan to ask Sakusa out while he's on stage. The lights in the room went out as people started walking on stage. Atsumu and his group were performing last, which Atsumu asked for to do his confession but he never told anyone about. The 4 of them decided to watch the talent show since they were going to be last and staying backstage for 4 hours was boring for them. They're all confident. Atsumu sat beside Sakusa, both of them laughing, making fun of other people's performance and actually clapping at the ones they liked. Omi. His fly is unzipped. The fact you noticed that is creepy. Simon. It's cool. Creepy. Sakusa shivered and rubbed his arms. He chuckled at Atsumu, letting him know he was just joking with him. The talent show went on for about another 3 hours. Finally, on the second last performance, Atsumu stood up with a thumbs up. Wish me luck. Of course. Good luck. Atsumu smiled. Walking out of the crowd, he went backstage to see the other 3. I have something to ask on short notice. What is it? At the end of our dance, can you guys stay in your place? Dart. I'm asking out. Asking out? I wanna ask Sakusa out on stage. Atsumu's cheeks tinted red. He never knew it would be that embarrassing to ask his teammates for help. You helped me and Yuki with our relationship, so I guess. Be nicer, ho. Yuki laughed while Konoha wrinkled his nose. Atsumu helped with getting Yuki back on her feet and even got her to go out with Konoha for a start. The speakers called out the last group and they went on stage. They walked out in a line from shortest to tallest. The music started playing and they started doing flips and in-sync dance moves. As they were coming closer to the end, Atsumu took a deep breath. He ran and did his side backflip combination over Konoha. He landed it and let a breath out. He smiled and stood up straight. Everyone else stayed in their places while Atsumu walked to the front of the stage. He took the microphone from the stand and placed it up to his lips. Dart. I'll make this quick. Go out with me, Omi-kun. Dart. Atsumu's cheeks flushed pink as his eyes met Sakusa's. One last thing. Yeah, pretty and cute. Together we'd be pretty cute. Atsumu smiled and walked off stage with his team. He tried so hard not to run off that stage there and then. Other students and teachers started clapping and laughing at Atsumu's confession and his cute corny pickup line. Other students elbowed Sakusa to go get Atsumu. Almost everyone in the school knew that was what Atsumu called Sakusa. Atsumu accidentally made Sakusa a little popular. Sakusa literally got pushed out of the crowd. He ran towards the stage and opened the door to the back. It was completely empty. What? Sakusa looked around and made his way to the exit door that led to the hallway. He walked down the little case of stairs, then opened the door. He looked to his right, then to his left. He saw Atsumu against the wall sitting down. He bent down in front of Atsumu and took his hands into his own. Sakusa, I'll go out with you. Atsumu looked up a bit, just to see Sakusa staring right back at him. Getting all awkward on me now. That's not fair. Atsumu stayed quiet with pink cheeks. It took a lot of courage just to ask Sakusa out like that. Sakusa smiled and leaned forwards. He made his and Atsumu noses touch before going into a kiss. As the kiss went on, Sakusa's cheeks started turning pink as Atsumu's only tinted darker. They pulled away from the kiss panting. Sakusa pulled Atsumu up to his feet and hugged him. You're so chaotic, Atsumu. Atsumu smirked and pulled away from the hug slowly. He took a coin from his pocket. He kept it in his hand and looked at Sakusa with big eyes. He felt nice. He felt so giddy that Sakusa felt the same way. Since we're datin', if I flip this coin, what are the chances of me getting ahead? Dart. I'm not going to even answer that. At least finish your studies before I do any of that. Sakusa slipped his arm around Atsumu's waist and started guiding him. Just because of that, our first date is going to be a study date. Oni no.